There are a lot of things I've done and have happened to me throughout my life. Some I've talked about, and some I've not talked about. Some of those things sound more believable than others, but I don't lie about the things that have happened to me and the situations that I was in, especially if it's something that could easily extend the truth a little just to make it sound cooler than what actually happened. I know the thumbnail for my Insect Nightmares video said my clothes were full of bees, while in the story I said they were actually yellow jackets. That was only a fib I told because my clothes were full of bees is much funnier to say than my clothes were full of yellow jacket, but I digress. One of those things I have never talked about on this channel is that there was a very short period in my childhood where I was a model. Like, a fashion model. Not like someone who was on the cover of Vogue or had clotheslines with their names just for themselves. The modeling I did was mainly posing for back-to-school clothes sales and Halloween costume ads for magazines because this was back in the mid-2000s and everything was not as reliant on internet advertising as they are these days. I never made a whole video about my modeling career because there wasn't really that much to actually say about it. The whole time I spent on it was very short and I was a very young child, so I don't really remember a lot other than I was very bored by the strictness of my clothing and my hair and having to go through makeup and the amount of clothes changing I had to do and the constant micromanaging of my looks. I had fun during some of the shows and posing for cameras, but nothing huge ever really came out of that career, and I have no interest of ever trying to get back into it. Though if they didn't have my dead name on them, I would like to share the cards my nanny made with our candid shots, as my older brother also was in modeling along with me, so we have cards that have our photos from when we first started getting into modeling. I also think it's funny to bring it up as a fun fact because one of those things that sound like it should be a bigger story than it actually is. It's just like, I was a model as a child. It was very boring. I'm bringing up my modeling career now because to me, it's one of those things that happen in your life that you reflect back on when you're older, and it kind of just leads you down to a rabbit hole of thought processes that eventually brings you to a final revelation about yourself as a person you once were and the person you are now. And that point in my life makes me reflect on how objectified I felt growing up as a kid. Not intentionally, in fact. I think that a lot of the stuff that made me feel objectified was the ways of the adults were trying to make me feel encouraged. But as a child, it felt more condescending and controlling. Reflecting back at it now, but what bothered me a lot wasn't the whole I'm so grown up and I want to be treated like a grown up, but my parents won't stop treating me like a kid mentality that is often associated with a rebellious youth, which was what I was not at all. What bothered me was I felt like I wasn't really respected as a kid, and a lack of the control I had over myself and my expression. In a sad, bleak way, my life growing up has felt like a constant set of goalposts to brute force my way through. Just one more thing to drag myself towards in order to get out of the worst of it. The relentless bullying I got in school, don't worry, you'll be at another school for 5th grade. Your bullies followed you to middle school? It's okay, you're moving across the country this summer, you can make it till then. Just 3 more years of this, you've done everything right. Just make it to another goalpost. Nowadays, despite the everything, life doesn't feel so much like crawling and more like a tentative walk with the occasional stumble. The pit is still there, waiting for me to fall back in, and I have fallen and gone out of it before, and I may fall right back in again. But at the moment, things are fine now, and climbing out feels more possible every time I fall in, even when I have my days where it doesn't feel like I'll ever get out at all. I was in the pit a lot through my childhood, and a lot of it was through this feeling of objectification and lack of autonomy. The biggest point of conflict between my mother and I was my hair. I had this long hair that was thick and it got snarls and knots constantly, and I just hated having it. I hated the hair being in my face, how tight a ponytail pinched my head. It was a hassle and I just wanted it all gone. Gradually it got shorter and shorter all the way to where it currently is now, a short crop of hair that can be androgynous so long as it doesn't grow out long enough to be mistaken for a pixie cut. Clothes also were always an issue. It was always about appearance, and I still to this day have no idea whatever is wrong with the things I ever wore as a kid. They are not much different from the things I wear now as an adult. I would put on a pair of jeans and a shirt. Nope. Go put something nicer on. I changed the pants and they're still not nice enough. They're too wrinkled. Shirts had to fit as well. The kind of dress up I did was not necessary to go to a trip to the grocery store, but there I was taking 15 minutes trying to decipher what was nice from a pair of near identical sets of clothes in order to reach a satisfactory level of good enough that could let me go outside. Obviously, things with stains and holes on them were not nice, but what made one shirt nice and another one not nice other than whatever graphic was on them? I literally wore a bunch of graphic tees when I was a kid. I still to this day do not understand. Not wearing the proper clothes translated over to when I got older, having to show off my body with tight, uncomfortable clothing and jeans that are trying to murder my calves and thighs. You have a nice body, you should show it. And I have pride in your appearance were two phrases I heard a lot, and they didn't read as encouraging words of a parent who thought their kid had body issues, but rather a request to get the more idealized version of the kid they expected to have. I could fit into a small, yes, I am tall, I'm very, very thin, and I have clothes that will go up to my waist and, show off my figure, but I am also tall in the torso, so they will shrink in the first wash, and when I am wearing them a second time, when I raise my arms, they go up to just under my boobs, and they would just sit there over my stomach because I'm too tall for these clothes that are too tight for me. It's just embarrassing and discomforting, and I would just sit there like a crappy crop top. Going a size up makes things looser around my waist, but I can at least lift my arms without embarrassment every time I wear a shirt. Tight jeans may look fine if you're somebody who likes to look at nice legs, which honestly I have just twiggy legs, whatever. But they are a sensory nightmare, waiting for me to stretch the legs away into shorts if I were able to grow claws like a cat and do just that. My dress wear these days reflects comfort. I like t-shirts and hoodies, sweaters and cardigans to go along with the jeans that are in no way skinny, but not too baggy. I'm not going around dressing in things that hide my body. I more so much do not want things that are trying to murder my body. I like the freedom of movement without feeling like I need to strip everything I'm wearing off the moment something does become uncomfortable. But as a child, this was not prideful enough, and it signaled a lack of care that didn't reflect my gender at all, despite my statements about how it made me feel uncomfortable. I think it was hard to grasp that I could not dressing up like a model. I could look good, but I could be comfortable while also looking good as well. And if I feel like I look good, then I don't see what the issue is. And again, I would rather have comfort than pride. Although this seems like I'm complaining about my mom a lot, she wasn't this mean gender performance critique. I do think she genuinely thought the stuff she said to me was supposed to be encouraging and make me feel better about how I look, but it just wasn't. She never forced me to wear makeup or said anything nasty about something about my face or my weight that I couldn't change. She wasn't that kind of parent. There was just this level of outward gender presentation she was looking for that I simply did not want to do because I did not feel comfortable with how she wanted me to look. And even though this was years ago, and I haven't had this problem with my mother since my high school years, it still is one of those things I reflect back on, especially as a young trans kid. And that is one of those things that you're probably being like, well, it's like, Daryl, you grew up socialized to be womanly woman. And so of course mothers and even fathers are going to go and be like, you must act woman. That's just the woman experience. And I don't think people who are not trans understand the specific kind of discomfort it feels to be made to look a way you don't want to. Much less the clothing I never got to wear was comfortable on top of the fact that it was clothing I did not want to wear. But I have to hand it to her, she never forced me to wear makeup. Neither of my parents did. One of my aunts loved to do it and would put on this heavy and excessive makeup on me that, looking back, was not appropriate for someone who was barely in the 6th grade. I was the Barbie doll in the family, and to this day, outside of cosplay, I never put on any makeup. I just hate the stuff. Gender performance was not something just expected of my family, but also of my classmates. I was bullied for not wearing the right clothes or acting the right way, but after some time I took to the weird kid label as a prize to be celebrated rather than something of shame, because at a point, how much of my whimsy can someone try and take away before I am just miserable? And I'd rather be happy being the way I am and with the things I like, rather than pushing myself down because other people don't like it. And I got mad about it and mean about it, and sometimes I was selfish and got in trouble over it. But the one thing I can say is I am happy for myself that I never tried to fit in a way that made me unhappy. I just learned to roll with the punches and grow with the mistakes I made, even if it took me a while to realize them. Art became a way of self-expression in a way that books became sanctuary. I could read about characters who I related to and be inspired by others to want to create my own characters and write stories with them, sometimes writing my characters as characters from other shows. My mom likes to say I decided to call myself Daryl because of Daryl from The Walking Dead, which isn't true. It started out as a nickname from a high school friend that quickly became not a nickname, though it probably didn't help when I told them that middle school me drew their self-insert character as Daryl from The Walking Dead. That wasn't an early sign of anything important or something, no! By high school, I generally had more control over my expression. I was very into art and was drawing up a storm. I was making some pretty terrible comics, but I was having a blast doing it. But the inklings of a wrongness never left. I tell people I don't have gender dysphoria, and that is not entirely a lie. I wish my voice was deeper, I want to grow a beard, and my crew is my gender envy, but I have never had that intense feeling of wrongness, only the itch that just is under the skin. My junior year of high school had me playing with my gender a lot. I identified as bi-gender, gender fluid, then agender, and that's how I identified ever since. A lack of gender is appealing to a genderless being such as me. Bask in my genderlessness. It was like how I felt when I first found out what asexuality was. Learning what it was, going, oh, that's me, and going on with my life, but for my gender, this was different. This lingered on more because it made a lot of sense for how I felt growing up. This character I feel like everybody sees who's never existed. There's an expectancy of playing a mockery of a Daryl who's never existed and never will. Except that's not me. I'm Daryl. I've always been like this. It just took a while to realize it. The pieces were in place and now I could see a full puzzle, but that doesn't necessarily mean I was done with gender. Coming as agender was rough. My mom immediately thought I wanted to get surgery, which was not even on my mind when I came out. I was 17, I just wanted a different name and pronouns, and I could think about the rest after school when I had a job that could pay for any gender-affirming care I could want outside of a social transition. I still haven't transitioned farther than name change and pronouns, though I'm certain that I do want top surgery someday. I threw myself into more masculine styles, buying clothes I enjoyed when I got my first job, and celebrating with a new short haircut, much similar to the style I keep my hair in now. But what I didn't expect was the eventual pivot to including more feminine styles into my wardrobe after spending years of labeling all women's clothing as uncomfortable. But instead of the too short shirts and the too skinny jeans, I now had long skirts I could wear shorts and tights under, a binder I could wear an open flannel with, dangly glittery jewelry I could wear with my most masculine outfits, high-heeled boots that added to my height and looked great when paired with a dark academia outfit. Coming into terms with my gender has made me look more into the type of fashion I do like to wear, accumulating a wardrobe that I do enjoy wearing, not one designed for a performance I never signed up for. And there are still new ways I am growing into this day. I never liked how my voice sounds, especially when I sing, but I like to sing even if I think I'm rubbish at it. But training my voice and learning to sing in a more comfortable way, in a way that's helped me feel better about my voice in general, has been fun, though I do wish it was still deeper. Finding out I was agender has helped improve my life in so many ways, and it's made me a happier person because of it. I don't want to run away from parts of myself. I want to embrace it and hold it close. I'm sharing this because people forget that they all were children too once. Babies are not born with the ability to speak. We're not coming out of the womb immediately as full, realized human beings. Language is taught and how we describe things is changing all the time too. And people forget that everyone in the transgender community who's an adult was also a transgender child. For every Karen who is the perfect daughter who grew up to be a mother and a wife, there's a Daryl out there who didn't understand why everyone said that there was no pride to be found in their comfort. Children are not objects, and the things that they're taught are carried well into adulthood, regardless if they grow up into the things you wanted them to be or not. You could be your child's comfort, or you could be them alone to flounder as they try to live up to the pride you expect them to have, rather than the pride that makes them comfortable. And that's the thing that I have learned. I am proud of myself. I crawled out of the pit and I made myself into the person I am, and I can't wait to morph into the person I will be and be proud of that version of Daryl too. And if you're also transgender or questioning or watching this video in just general, I'm proud of you too. I know it isn't easy to get here, and it seems like the whole community is in a pit together, but we're gonna crawl out of it, and I can't wait to see you at the top. Thanks for watching, and that's it for today's video. This was a personal one of mine, but one I've been thinking about for months. June is the best time to get all open and emotional or whatever. And here's for the art for today's video. This was an anniversary present for my girlfriend. I made them an acrylic standee of our two JoJo Bizarre Adventure Part 5 OCs, Nunzia and Para. I didn't mention that in the usual spot in the video, but I didn't want to interrupt the flow of the script, so we're talking about the art now. If you like this video, like and subscribe. I do art videos that include story times, tutorials, media analysis, podcast recommendations, and many, many more. Your support means I can keep making them videos for you guys, and I do enjoy making them. And if you're having a fun Pride Month but wanted to get a touch of queer horror into your Pride Month, then go check out my webcomic In Harmony. Chapter 4 is ending at the end of June, so now is the best time to catch up. We'll be going on hiatus until Chapter 5, probably. Still have not picked a date yet, but I'm thinking maybe sometime near the end of August. I haven't decided yet. So go check it out, and if you're on Patreon, you get pages 2 weeks early, and you will see so many little sneak peeks for Chapter 5 on there. I have been working in the background on some stuff that I am very excited to share publicly eventually. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye!